All right, everybody. I'm glad you've joined me for part 2 of making a Pathfinder fighter. Okay, so there's a couple things now we're going to go over. We're going to go over one of the more confusing parts for a lot of people, which is the skills section. At least more confusing in terms of actually creating the character. So we're going to go over skills and feats and special abilities. So the first thing we want to do now that we've got our stats, we've got our basic stuff, a lot of the skill stuff is going to be stuff that's outside of fighting. Not all of it, but a lot of it is going to be stuff that helps you to get to your next point. I kind of break down Pathfinder into basically 3 different parts. There's getting to the dungeon, getting around the dungeon, and fighting in the dungeon. Obviously, there's a lot more to this, and any of those elements can have combat. Any of them could have a bunch of different things. But what we want to do here is we want to go over what the skills are. And skills are going to be certain things that your character is simply good at doing. So let's first go back to our fighter and see what our fighter is good at doing. Fighters are good climbers, crafters, animal handlers, intimidators, knowledge engineering, professions, riding, survival, and swimming. We also know we get 2 plus the int modifier. We also know, because we're playing a human, that humans actually get, where are we here? Humans select 1 extra feat. Humans gain an additional skill rank at first level and 1 additional rank whenever they gain a level. So our total is going to be 3 skill points per level, or 9 skill points, right? So we've got 2, 4, 6, 2 per level, and then add another one for being human, which is 7, 8, 9. So we have 9 skill points. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go down this list, and we want to see what we're good at doing. So let's go over all of that again, and I'll go over what each of these skills is for a fighter. Climbing, crafting, handling animal. Climbing, crafting, handling an animal. I should just put this on another screen, but that's okay. I'm kind of purposely going a little bit slowly here. Knowledge engineering, profession, ride, survival, swim. Survival and swim. Okay, now, one of the first things we want to look at right away is we see this ACP. What is ACP? ACP is armor check penalty. Remember the -4 we got for the scale mail and the -2 we got for the shield? That shows up here. It sucks. But it is what it is. Now what Pathfinder does is that if this is one of your skills, if you're good in climbing, the first point you put in, well, let me do crafting. It's a little bit easier to see because we're at 0. If I put 1 rank in, 1 skill point, it's 4. Your first rank in anything that your class is what's called trained in, you get an automatic 3 free points. Very nice. However, do you need to do that? No, I could put a point into disable device if I wanted to. This is something a little bit different from the 3.5, and 3.5 definitely did skills differently. I don't want to get into that at all. This is much, much simpler to understand. So let's start trying to look over what it is. Climb. Climbing is going to be just that. Climbing a mountain, rock wall, whatever it might be. Pretty self-explanatory. Crafting, there is a whole set of rules for crafting. For this tutorial, the thing to know about crafting is if you want to make something in terms of weapon, in terms of armor, in terms of traps, things like that. Those go into crafting, and there is a whole section. If we go into using skills, skill descriptions, that's where I want to go. Into craft, you can kind of see the skill. Alchemy, armor, bows, traps, weapons. It'll give you an idea, and there's a whole rule set for it. Again, I don't want to go into that too much. Handling animal, just that. If you're able to kind of handle dogs, horses, things like that, there is a whole set of rules for that. Intimidating. It's how intimidating you are. Knowledge dungeoneering. It's what you know about a dungeon. So you might know a little bit more about how deep you are based on the, you can kind of tell a little bit how a dungeon might be laid out. Knowledge engineering is going to be, if you know how certain engineering, a portcullis might work, or how this drawbridge might work, or where those types of things go. Profession is going to be stuff like an apothecary, a cook, a fisher. You can do this skill to try and gain base money. Riding is horseback riding, or whatever back riding you're doing. Survival is going to be kind of out in the wilderness. Survival is mostly really helpful in tracking. So you can kind of see footprints, but it's also could be used to find berries or things like that. Surviving in the wilderness. And swimming is pretty self-explanatory. It's how well you swim. Where these things really come into effect is sometimes the DM will tell you, all right, make me a climb check as you're trying to get up this mountain. So you're going to say, all right, I want to climb up this ledge. He'll say, okay, make me a climb check. You roll a 1d20 plus whatever this skill modifier is. So we would roll 1d20 minus 3, and that's what our climb check would be. The one that I would always encourage is perception. Perception is that it's used the most commonly in all of Pathfinder. And what perception is just being able to notice something if there's someone following you. It is such a widely used skill that I always recommend taking perception regardless. That +3 could be the difference. Even if your rogue friend has a +8 or, your monk, it always helps to have that little bit where it's especially very helpful if you imagine, you're on watch that night. Having that extra little plus really helps. So we've already zapped 2 points for perception. Oh, you can also never have more than your level. So I can't put 9 points into perception. I can only put 3. Easy enough. It makes sense that, I shouldn't be an expert perceiver, or expert whatever. So what I generally like to do is I like to put a point in climb, a point in swim, just because they might come up and I want to offset my penalty. Let's put a point in survival. That is always pretty helpful. And the point and the knowledges are always pretty helpful as well. So we're at 7 right now. We've got 2 more. Let's know how to ride. That can help. Again, it's pretty painful. We're definitely suffering from that. And we'll put in, what else would be good? You can always default back to perception if you wanted to. I'll do just that. I'll drop another point into perception. So this is how we're rounded out. You remember where we got our 9 skill points from. And this is what we're looking at. So not too shabby. Next, feats and special abilities. The first thing I like to do is list out my special abilities. Human, it's not too difficult. There's really going to be nothing special for the human, minus what we've already got. So we look at, they've got a bonus feat. The bonus skills we already did. Bonus languages we don't have to worry about. So really the only thing we have to worry about is a bonus feat. So we've got 1 for a human, right? And then feats you gain every 3 levels. So you gain it at 1, 3, 6, 9, 12, yada yada. So we're going to do 1 for level 3. Sorry, 1 for level 1. Actually, I'm just going to do it like this. Human, level 1, level 3. And so we have 3 feats right there. However, the fighters are known as just feat beasts. They get a ton. So we get a bonus feat at another feat at level 1 and another feat at level 2. So we're going to put in Fighter 1 and Fighter 2. So we get 5 feats to choose from right off the bat. Before we do our feats then, let's look at what else the fighter grants us. Bravery +1. +1 will saves against fear. Not too bad, doesn't hurt. So we're going to throw in bravery, +1 versus fear. We're going to go back here, armor training 1. Starting at 3rd level, a fighter learns to be more maneuverable while wearing armor. Whenever he's wearing armor, he reduces the armor check penalty by 1 and increases max dex allowed by 1. This is awesome for the fighters. It really, really helps them out a lot. So our scale mail becomes a -3, and the max dex becomes a -4. Great. So we're going to do armor training +1. Now for our feats. So how do we want to really build out the fighter? Well, I kind of said I wanted to make him pretty tanky. He's going to stand on the front line. So the first feat I'm going to take is toughness. Let's look at what toughness does. I know the feats that I like, folks. I'm going to give you the ones that I kind of recommend for simple stuff. You can optimize and make better, but this will give you at least something good. Toughness is 3 hit points plus 1 hit point beyond 3. So I get 3 hit points. Right? You gain 3 hit points for every hit dice you possess. And hit die is almost the same thing as saying level. They don't use them interchangeably, but for all intents and purposes, they're basically the same. It does get a little different. That gets a little more complex than I want to get into. Right? So we're going to give ourselves 3 hit points right off the top for toughness. Our level 1 feat, I'm going to take shield focus. So let's see what shield focus does. Shield focus. Base attack bonus +1. So we meet the prerequisite. We are proficient with shields. And we do have a base attack over 1. Increases the AC granted by any shield you're using by 1. Awesome! Right? So we add 3. Beautiful. Oh, I just got a message. Hang on one sec, folks. Well, actually, message hang on, because I want to finish this up as we're getting near the end of it. The other thing I want to take is dodge. Where is my lovely dodge? Dodge. Dex of 13. Remember before where I said I wanted that dex of 13? This is why. You gain a +1 bonus to your AC. Condition that you lose if you're... Yeah, basically, if you lose your dex bonus, you also lose this +1. Not a huge deal. So we're going to throw in a dodge of 1, and our AC is already 20. Double awesome. Fighter. So we want to take some more feats here. Power attack is always really good. You know what? I'm going to change it up like this and make things a little bit more, complicated than maybe I wanted to do. So there's certain weapons that are a little bit strange, and they're called exotic weapons. They're weapons that are harder to wield. So if we look at an exotic one-hand weapon, we see a bastard sword, right? And the bastard sword is a 1d10, 19 to 20 one-handed weapon. Basically amazing. Let's look up what the bastard sword does. 4 feet in length, thus it's exotic. A character can use a bastard sword two-handed as a martial weapon. So if I wanted to, I could use it as a martial weapon with 2 hands. But I want to use it with 1 hand. So let me go bastard sword, but I need the feat for it. So I'm going to take exotic weapon proficiency, bastard sword. Now I don't take a penalty. If you try and wield a weapon that you're not proficient in, you can do it, but you take a -4 penalty. Very, very painful. Don't recommend it. So this now becomes a 1d10 plus 3. We're then going to take for our second fighter feat, weapon focus, bastard sword. What does weapon focus do? Let me get down here to weapon focus. Oh, shoot, I'm not on feats. Don't yell at me. Weapon focus. Weapon focus, you gain a +1 bonus on all attack rolls you make using the selected weapon. So now this +6 becomes a +7. Beautiful. Weapon focus bastard sword. The other great reason to take that is weapon specialization. Weapon specialization, then, you gain +2 bonus on all damage with that. Unfortunately, you need fighter level 4th, which is going to exceed what we can do, but you need to have focus with it anyway. So now we set ourselves up for level 4 feat, rather for the level 4 fighter feat of taking weapon specialization. And this is really us drawn out right now. This is kind of how you build your first character. So it's not super complex. I mean, we've gone through some of the skill stuff. I will go over how to make a wizard, which is going to be an even longer tutorial, I think. We can skip over some of this front stuff, but some of the spell stuff and everything is going to be a little bit more complicated. But anyway, folks, this is your first basic character. It's not too difficult. All you have to do is make sure you're reading everything. Once you make sure you're reading everything and understanding everything, it's not bad. I do love Pathfinder. I absolutely love it. I highly recommend it. And it's free, which is even better. You can get all of this online for free. All of this, the core rule book, advanced player guide. I mean, we haven't even gone into, you know, there's core classes where there's other types of fighters, right? So maybe I want to make an archer, and they'll get certain bonuses, and they'll do certain trade-offs. It's really cool. There's so much in the game that I love it, and that's just the boring mechanic stuff. Then you can actually get into the actual role-playing, where, you know, I mean, I'm playing Boss, the gnome barbarian in one of my campaigns, and I love it. So anyway, folks, this is kind of the beginning of where to flesh out your character. If you have any questions or anything, please let me know. And as always, thanks for watching. Tune into the other tutorials. Thanks for watching, everybody.